There is no retirement age in Australia. I'll say it again because almost nobody believes me the first time. There is no retirement age in this country. There are two ages. They are 7 years apart. And in all my years inside the system, I never once saw anybody sit a working Australian down and explain the difference between them. So they assume the number is 67 because that's the one they've heard. And they keep working. Careful, tired, decent people. For years, they never legally had to. Margaret is 60, a retired teacher, except she isn't retired because she told me flat out, you can't retire till 67. She was wrong. And staying to the end of this matters because the fifth reason is the one that decides whether your money actually lasts. And it's the one people get most wrong. Let me tell you who I am quickly so you know why to listen. Spent my working life inside the superannuation and tax system, side of the desk where the rules are written, not the side where you stand hoping you filled the form in right. Now I'm retired and I sit at a free information service across the table from people exactly like Margaret, and I watch them give away years. So here's the myth demolished right now. You do not have to wait until 67 to retire. 67 is the age you can claim the age pension. That's Centrelink. It's means tested. It's the government's money. Your superannuation is a different thing entirely. That's your money. And for almost everyone watching this, well, super becomes legally accessible at 60. Two ages, two completely different organizations. Nobody connects them for you because the system sees behavior, not intentions. It processes what you ask for. It does not ring you up to say, you know, you stop now, don't you? Nobody's going to ring you to tell you the date. So 5 legal reasons the rules let you go at 60, not 67. And honestly, who each one actually suits. Number one, the day your super stops being taxed, most people carry a fear in their gut that if they touch their super early, they'll be taxed to ribbons, punished for it. So they leave it sitting there untouched and they keep earning a wage they've come to hate. Here's the thing, from the day you turn 60, it flips entirely the other way. Once you move money from a tax super fund into what's called retirement phase or withdrawals, lump sums, pension payments, all of it are generally tax-free. And the earnings inside that pension account stop being taxed at 15% and drop to zero, not reduced. Zero. Take Tony, 61, a retired electrician. He'd spent 2 years frightened of a tax bill that it turned out did not exist. He moved roughly $480,000 into an account-based pension and started drawing around $28,000 a year to live on. The tax he paid on that income, nothing. He'd been bracing for a hit that the rules had quietly removed the moment he hit 60. So what do? You ring your super fund and you say these words, I want to move my super into retirement phase and I want to confirm my withdrawals are tax-free from 60. Write it down. Say it exactly. Now, who does this help most? The comfortable and the middle balances. But don't switch off if that's not you, because the next one is for the person who doesn't have $480,000 and never will. Number 2, you can retire without retiring. Most people think it's all or nothing, that to touch a cent of your super, you have to walk in, hand back the keys, and never work again. That belief keeps people chained to full-time work for years. It isn't true. There's a thing called a transition to retirement income stream. And from your preservation age, 60, for everyone born on or after the 1st of July, 1964, it lets you do something quietly radical. You cut your working hours and you top up the income you've lost from your own super. You don't stop, you ease off years earlier than you thought you were allowed to. Susan's 60, a nurse, 30 odd years on the wards and bone tired. She didn't quit. She dropped to 3 days a week and she draws on her super to fill the gap in her pay. The rules say a transition to retirement pension has to pay you between 4 and 10% of the balance each financial year. So she takes what she needs inside that band, works less and breathes. The fix is a sentence. Ring your fund and say, I want to start a transition to retirement income stream and reduce my days. That's it. That's the whole move. And here's the part that ought to make you cross. Most people who'd have loved this option never hear the words transition to retirement until after they've already quit or already burned out. The system runs on what you ask for, not on what would have helped you. That leads straight into the next one, because once the money's flowing, there's a trap sitting inside it. Number 3, how the money actually comes out. And the one line you must not miss. People imagine the rules dribble their own savings back to them, that there's some cap, some bureaucrat deciding you can only have a little at a time. There's no maximum on a normal account-based pension, none. Above the minimum, you draw what you like. It's your money, and from 60, it's tax-free coming out. But, and here's where it goes wrong, there is a minimum. Under 65, you must draw at least 4% of the balance each financial year. At 65, it steps up to 5%, and it keeps climbing with age, all the way to 14% in your mid-90s. And these are the standard rates. Check the current figure at ato.gov.au before you set anything in stone. Miss that minimum and the system does something cold. It decides your pension stopped on the 1st of July and the tax-free status on those earnings vanishes for the entire year. Ray learned that one the hard way. 62 self-employed builder, ran his own self-managed fund to save $1, got busy, forgot to take the minimum and lost the zero tax treatment on a full year's earnings. Nobody warned him. No letter came. Nobody's going to ring you about a minimum you didn't know existed. So what do? You set the minimum payment to come out automatically on the 1st of July every single year. Automate it and it can never catch you. That's the comfortable viewer and the self-managed crowd sorted. But here's the reason that actually stops people leaving at 60, the pension waiting at 67. Number 4, retiring at 60 does not cost you the age pension. This is the big fear, and I understand it. People believe that if they stop work early and start spending their super, they'll be punished later, that they'll have forfeited the age pension when 67 finally comes around. You haven't. The age pension arrives at 67, regardless of when you stopped working. It's assessed on what you have then, not on whether you retired early. And this is the part nobody explains. Those gap years can be planned. Here's a real one. Superannuation held in the accumulation account of a spouse who is under age pension age isn't counted by Centrelink yet. It's invisible to the means test until that younger partner turns 67. So picture Margaret again, our teacher, and her husband who's 58. By keeping part of their savings in his accumulation super, that money sits outside Margaret's means test when she reaches pension age, which helps protect her part pension. These aren't loopholes, they're rules. And now the inclusiveness, because I mean this for every single person watching, whether you've got $200,000 in super or $800,000, you'd both be wrong to think the date is different for you. The date you can touch your own money is the same, 60. The balance changes the lifestyle. It does not change the date. To fix here costs nothing, literally nothing. Before you retire, book a free appointment with Centrelink's Financial Information Service. The FIS officers don't sell anything. They just explain how your situation interacts with the pension, which leaves the biggest reason of all, the one nobody likes to say out loud. Number 5, the years you're actually trading, most people tell themselves the same comforting thing. One more year of work is one more year of safety. More in the pot, less risk, sleep easier. It feels responsible. It feels careful. Here's the reversal, and it's the hardest one in this whole video. The thing you're spending isn't money, it's time. And specifically, it's your healthy time. A 60-year-old man in Australia can expect, on average, around another 24 years of life. A woman, around 27. But the official health data tells a quieter, harder truth. Only the front portion of those years is spent in full health. Across a life, roughly 86 to 88% of it is lived in good health, which means the back end, the last decade or so, often isn't. The good years aren't the spare ones at the end. They're the ones you're working through right now. So think about Margaret again, who started this with me convinced she had to grind on to 67. She didn't. She had the balance. She had the preservation age. She'd done everything right and was about to give away 3 of her best years to a number that was never even hers. 67 was the pension's age, not her super's. When she finally understood there were two ages, she stopped at 60. She draws her super tax free and she'll claim her age pension at 67 anyway, exactly as planned. The fix takes 5 minutes. Log into my Gov, look at your super balance and check your preservation age. Just look. So here's the thread through all 5. And it was never really about money. It's about a date. 2 dates actually, 60 and 67, that the system never explained, because explaining isn't its job. Processing is. It sees behavior, not intentions, and it will let you work until 67 in silence because nobody's going to ring you to tell you that your own money was waiting at 60. So don't try to do all 5 this week. Do one thing. Log into my Gov, find your super balance and find your preservation age. That's it. 5 minutes and you'll know which of these 5 reasons is actually yours. Now, the honest part, and I say this every time, I'm retired from the system. I'm not your financial advisor, and nothing I've said here is personal advice. It's general information. Super tax and pension rules change every year, and the figures are indexed. So before you act on any of this, sit down with a licensed financial advisor or use the free government services, moneysmart.gov.au, and Centrelink's financial information service. They cost nothing, and that's not a sales line. It's the truth. What I've covered today is genuinely just the surface, the exact words to say, the order to do things in, the deadlines that bite. Put the whole picture into the Australian Retirement and Super Handbook, the 2026 edition, if you want the map, rather than just the headline. And do me one favor, send this to one person you know who's still working at 64, convinced they have to wait. And tell me in the comments, did you honestly know there were 2 ages? Because I read every single one. Margaret knew the rules. She'd followed every one of them. She was simply never told there were 2 ages instead of 1. And she nearly handed over 3 good years for the difference. You've just been told. That's the only thing that was ever standing between her and those years. Somebody finally saying it out loud.